up, reefers? I'm Reefer Matt, and welcome back to the Reef Cave. Well, this is the October update, so happy Halloween. Here is the tank. It's doing pretty good. I did add algae scrubber, and we'll get to that in a minute. I'm going to show you some close-ups too, if I can. Somebody requested that when I did a short video the other day. But everybody's doing good, and everybody beats up on Sarge for some reason. Sarge is cool. He's a sergeant major of the damselfish. He's not mean. As you can see, he's just chilling. He gets along with everybody. So I don't know what, some people had bad luck with them, but I mean, I like mine. I got 2 of them. I got another one in another tank too. And he just kind of, you know, swims around the tang. He actually thinks he's a tang. He'll munch on some nori when I put it there on the nori clip, just like a tang. But you know, he gets along great with all the fish. So I really like Sarge. He's a cool fish. Getting onto the coral, I accidentally broke off a little piece of there. I was cleaning the glass the other day and hit that. That's not a problem. It'll grow back. I just don't know what to do with the frag because my frag tank's full. I'll show you that in a little bit. But also this digitata is getting pretty grown out here too. And Sarge wants to get in the frame. So that's growing out a lot. And this acro right here is too. So those are doing good. That's actually starting to attach to the side of the glass there. Look at that. So I'll have like an acro wall pretty soon instead of GSP or whatever that some people do. This Montipora here, this castaway is doing really good. It's really growing out, growing over some of the Pavona there and that, but I think the Leptoceras is keeping it in check. And there's some of the Acropora there. And this one right here is doing pretty good. That one was my replacement. I used to have a nice big old huge colony of Jason Fox solar flare, but that whittled away on me about a year or so ago. So now I have that one to take its place, and hopefully it'll perk up. This Bacillopora, I think I am going to take it down. I asked in the last update video. I just got to figure out what I'm going to do with the coral. I got to rehome it, and I do not have room in my frag tank for it. And I don't want to throw away all that coral. That's good coral. You know, it's an animal. It's lots of animals, actually. Probably lots of thousands of animals. Each one of those polyps is an animal, so I don't want to throw them away. So I'll see if my LFS or somebody wants it. And, you know, once I find something, then I'll take it down. This acro next to us is doing really good. Let me get out the magnifying lens. These things are cool, too. As long as I don't knock the magnet off the other side. These are the little flipper lenses. If you don't have one, they're pretty neat. They're a little pricey. They're usually like 30 bucks or something. But you can just kind of zoom in on the coral a little better. See if I can get it focused there. But anyhow, that's how I like to look at the polyps and stuff and just kind of inspect the coral. It's just looking through the lens. And look at these guys. They think they're getting some nori because I put the clip on the other side. But these lenses are pretty cool if you don't have one. And I'm actually, just to give you an idea, I'm like a foot away from the lens right now, and I'm just zooming in with my camera because I have to with my focus. But let's see if I can do what I can do here. See that? It allows you to get more of a crisp picture, and it's good for photos too, using this magnifier rather than just using the attachments that come with a coral lens or something. Oops. So I really like these flipper magnifiers for that, and I just like to sit in front of the tank sometimes and look at the little polyps and stuff for the SPS. The Walt Disney's doing really good. That coral was getting stung. I have like another little tiny, I guess you can call it a colony back there. It was getting stung by some more of this Bacillopora, so I took the Bacillopora out. There's some there that I took out too. It's starting to sprout up in different spots, so I just got to take care of that so it don't hurt the coral that, you know, I really like. Bacillopora is cool. It's just I don't want it everywhere, so I got to keep an eye on it. Here's some Setosa, Montipora setosa. That's doing good. That was from a colony I used to have in this tank, which was way over here. And it was like all around this rock here, all the way back to where, oh, look, there's a chalice back there. I'll explain that in a minute. I don't know how that got in there, but it used to be all around there behind these guys is where that Setosa colony was. And I put some frags back there too, right there, trying to grow it back, some of the back there. But for some reason it all died off a couple years ago, but I put some here before it did, and I'm glad I did because now I still have some. But the reason why that Hollywood Stunner Chalice is there is because once upon a time ago I got it for free. I didn't have a frag tank ready yet at the time. I put it in this tank and attached to the rock, and now I just frag it back every so often. So I guess you could say it's not a full SBS only tank because that is an LPS coral, but you know, I try to trim it back as much as possible so don't irritate the other coral. And here is some Leptocerus that's doing really good. This Jedi Mind Trick is probably pretty much out the door because these guys are really ganging up on it now. You can see that there's a little tiny nub of it left, and they're really just gonna go to town on it. So I may have to find another spot for this. The Green Slimer, that is doing really good. I guess you can call that, it's like a ghost name, you know, from Ghostbusters. But that coral's doing really good. And there's another little piece of Bacillopora there. And there is Nightmare, my very large brittle starfish. My kids named him Nightmare, and he is every bit of 6 years old or older. That's just how long I've had him. So he's just doing his thing. He just sits there and helps keep the tank clean. But everything's going good in here. I just got a new, well, I shouldn't say new, but a slightly used algae scrubber, and it's still breaking in. But hopefully this will help keep some of the nitrates down so I don't have to do so many water changes. Because I'm up to like every 2 or 3 weeks now. I used to do them once a month, so I'm hoping this will help out a little bit, help me save some money. And also, then I won't have to run the UV sterilizer either to keep some of this algae at bay. But right now, the parameters, I'll post the parameters on the screen as far as alkalinity and that. Here is the nitrate and phosphate that I just tested today. So 24 nitrate and 0.12 for phosphate because I accidentally overdosed it. I dosed it the other day and I forgot, and I dosed it again today, but that'll drop down really quick, so I'm not worried about it. Probably another 3 or 4 days and that'll be gone because I do have to dose phosphate in this tank. But this tank's doing awesome. I'm just keeping my eyes on it, and you know, I'm doing water changes as required, and I'm just taking it easy and enjoying it really, and just keeping it trimmed. As you can see, it's a lot of coral growing into each other, so somebody's always fighting somebody in this tank, and I just got to keep the peace. So that is the 75-gallon SBS tank. All right, and here is the 135-gallon Fowler tank that is fish only with live rock. There are no coral in this tank. There are no invertebrates in this tank. Just got a bunch of big fish. This is a 6-foot aquarium. And you can see the reflection of the SBS tank in the background there. I'll get a little closer for you so we don't get all this glare. Here's Leonidas, my big old lionfish. He's about almost a foot long now. He's doing pretty good. He's really well-mannered too. He gets along with everybody. And sometimes I almost think he wants me to pet him. That's how nice he is. There's Feisty Finn, if you want to talk about polar opposites. Finn's a butthead to everybody. He thinks he's the boss of the tank. He's sort of nice to me, though. I get to pet him every once in a while, but Finn just likes to grunt. You can definitely tell when he's grunting. I don't have an audio of that, but you can definitely hear it from across the room when they grunt. So that's something cool about these fish. Emperor Angel. There's Brownie back there, Fiji Foxface. I keep him in here to kind of keep the rocks clean. As you can see, there's some algae on the back glass. I'm not too worried about it. But I do water changes in this tank, I don't know, every month or so just to help out with the algae. But they pretty much keep the rocks trimmed down for me. So that's why I have a foxface in here. And he's also a cool, personable fish too. He likes to hang out with everybody and swim around, and he's a really nice fish. And here's Puffs, my buddy Puffy. I've had him the longest. I've had him for at least 6 years now, and he was big when I got him. He was like 5 inches when I got him, so I don't know how old he is really. Puffy's just enjoying the tank. He likes to eat some clams and mussels and shrimp and all kinds of stuff like that, big meaty foods. And he's really docile. He just, you know, especially around that guy there, that triggerfish, you know, they come and try to get the food with Puffs. I got to make sure Puffs gets enough to eat because Puffs don't really chase him around. He needs to stick up for himself a little more. But Puffs is a really cool fish. Every once in a while, he will puff up. but I don't do it on purpose because it's really not good for him. But when he does it on its own, I mean, that's just what he does. So, you know, I can't blame him for that. And the triggerfish just hid behind there. That's a huma huma trigger. And his name is Bandit because he likes to steal everybody's food. And he's hiding at the moment. There he is. Bandit's cool. He likes to swim back and forth, as you can see. And he's just, you know, he kind of goes with the flow too, other than stealing everybody's food. He's not really aggressive, and he gets along with everybody as well. So with this tank, I just do a water change every once in a while. I don't test it, and I just make sure everybody's well fed. And I do supplement vitamins in their food. I soak it in a vitamin supplement, which is Vitamin M, with every feeding, and I think that helps them out a little bit. So, oh, and I can't forget my buddy the birdfish here. I haven't had a name for him yet. I kind of call him Butthead because he just, I don't know, that's just how he acts sometimes. He's a butthead, you know, he tries to take the food and he just gulps it down, and I don't know, he's kind of goofy, but he's a really nice fish too. I can pet him and stuff, so, you know, I can catch him barehanded actually. But he gets along with everybody pretty much. He's just a little nippy, so I got to watch him when I'm feeding because he will bite the other fish when there's food in the water, so I got to watch out for that and make sure everybody keeps their distance with the food. So that's the 135-gallon Fowler tank, and things are going pretty good in this tank too. Got my little sticker collection up here, and I'll be adding to that as I visit more people and get more things. So these guys are doing great. All right, and here is my little SPS frag tank. This is about a 45-gallon tank. It's not really big. It's a 4-foot tank. And it's a little taller than a foot. It might even be 12 inches. There's my other Sergeant Major damselfish. And this fish is pretty cool too. You know, this tank is a little small for him now. He was a lot smaller when I put him in there. So I may put him in one of the other bigger tanks. Same thing with the rabbitfish, but the rabbitfish does a really good job at keeping down all the little algae and stuff that pops up in here. But these coral are doing really good too. I've just been the same thing as the display tank, been doing my water changes and trying to keep the nitrates and phosphates in check. I do have to dose phosphate in this tank as well. And the nitrates are usually around 20 something. Actually, here are today's numbers right there for that. And I'll also put up the alkalinity, calcium, and magnesium right here. And as you can see, all these little acros are doing pretty good. They got their polyps out, most of them anyway. They are growing off of the little stands. That's what I was hoping would happen, that once they ran out of room, like they'll only grow down so far, that they would just start branching out. And as you can see, most of them are starting to do that. So that was a good experiment. And I'm glad to see that what I thought was going to happen did happen. And I'll just see, you know, what other coral I can do that with. Maybe Montipora will too, I don't know. But these guys are doing really good. There's another little branch there. And then way in the back there, that thing's growing like 2 huge sticks out of it back there. I got to separate these guys soon because they're just a little too close now for all the growth that I'm getting out of them. And that means I got to rehome a lot of these little frags. I just had a frag swap, but people weren't too interested in SPS frags, which I understand. They're a little harder to keep, but not all of them are super hard. Some of these, you know, if you're real comfortable with your tank and you can keep your parameters in check and you do your water changes, or you got a grasp on your parameters, and these coral right here, they're kind of the step 3 corals, you know, once you're ready, but they're not that bad at all. And I got some stylophora there, and I got some big old little mini colony back here that I'm growing out. I'll be maybe fragging those up for the next swap. It's in a month and a half. That's the Sterling Heights swap in Michigan. If you're in Michigan, I'll be at that one. I will not be at the Lansing one though. I was not invited to that one, and that's honestly kind of a haul for me. But I will be at the Sterling Heights one. And this is Nemo Jr.'s big old elegance coral. It's the only oddball in the tank. Just because Nemo loves it so much, I keep it in there. And this thing has really grown too. This thing was a little frag when I got it, and now it's just huge. So I try to keep some room around it so it ain't stinging all the other corals. But Nemo really enjoys it, so who am I to take his home away from him? But all the coral in here are doing pretty good. I'm just keeping my eye on everything. And this is sort of like my little experiment tank too, you know, with these little stands, and then I'll do a little cut here and there and see what happens. But this is, you know, my fun tank too, on top of my frag tank. So I really enjoy it. So this is the 45-gallon SBS frag tank. All right, and here is, I believe this one's 45 or 50 gallons as well. This is the LPS frag tank. However, I got a couple oddballs in this tank at the moment. I'll explain that in a minute. But these guys are doing pretty good. I sold a few A-cans last swap, and they were really nice ones too. I thought I really enjoyed them. I like watching them, growing them out, and I'm coloring some of these up now because they some of these were under the Kessel lights, and now they're under the current lights, so they browned out. But you look at some of the colors on these. Look at that. So I really enjoy. You know, a lot of people like the big showy polyps like this. I like them too. They weren't always my favorite, and I couldn't grow them so well, but I think I have a handle on it. I do dose alpha reef in this tank. So I'll put the parameters that I have up on the screen here for you. There's some zoas back there. I'll also do a top down on this for you in a minute. But here's today's numbers for testing the nutrients anyway. The alkalinity should be close. I got to retest the alkalinity. But that's today's numbers. The nitrate was 29 and the phosphate was 0.02. So I added some phosphate. Hopefully it's 0.05 now. These torches are doing really good. And thanks, Chris, for picking up that one. I really, really hope you enjoy it. You know who you are. Hopefully you're watching. I really like seeing everybody when I'm out and about, when I go to shows and stuff. You know, I like making friends. That's why I do this channel, and that's why I participate in the community as much as possible. I like hanging out with you guys. So I'll show you a little top down on this, and we can have a look at the zoas too. So I just turned out the tank, but I just reminded myself I added this big old wave maker here to give myself some more flow. However, it's not hooked up to the board yet, so I got to remember tonight or tomorrow to mount it up there. So to turn the flow off, I got to unplug it for now. So let's have a look. That's my stack of Reef magazines. Some of them I got to go through. I haven't read yet. So some of these are really coloring up nicely, like this guy right here. At Favia. My A-cans are finally coming back. I got these about, I want to say 3 or 4 years ago. And these, I thought I lost them, and they're coloring up. That's the siphon breaking right there. I suggest if you have a sump, drill a little hole right above your nozzle. That'll break the siphon so you're not draining all that water down to your sump and overflowing your sump. So here's the zoas that I got. And the reason why I have them in this tank is because I had an issue with the zoas in my other tank. I had, for a while, I thought it was a magnet, and I thought it was some kind of chemistry or something. And then I found some zoa eating nudibranchs. So I started picking those out, and I got some lemon damsels, which will eat those nudibranchs. And things have pretty much settled down in that tank, but I still don't trust it yet. So these I know are good because I ordered these in. They're aquacultured, but I ordered these in just to have some that I can offer up and also to grow out that I know are good. So that's why they're in this tank. And there's some clove polyps too that I got from a buddy. But there's some Goniopora there. I got to frag these out. That's probably, I don't know, maybe the size of my fist closed. A couple inches across, so I want to frag that up a little bit. This one, maybe, I just sold some frags to this one, but that one's doing good also. I used to not have luck with Goniopora, but I think the Alpha Reef is the trick for it, at least for me in this tank. And these guys back here, I got to color back up. They lost their color, but that's no problem. That's just a matter of patience and having the right light and flow. I also got to clean up some of this hair algae too that's kind of peeking back there. That's because my flow was too low. Back in this corner, so that's why I added that wave maker. And I also put one down there to blow underneath the racks to keep the algae from growing under the racks too, because I was having an issue with hair algae growing underneath the racks. So that'll just help keep underneath the racks clean it'll add some more flow to the tank, and then the bigger one will bring the water back to that corner. So I got some coloring up to do on some of these. Some of these are doing really good, but all in all, not too bad. Those Candy King corals are nice and fluffy. Somebody mentioned that at the swap, and they're like, yeah, you're right, they are fluffy. I don't know when I'll frag this pectinia. I'm just gonna let this thing grow out. But and yeah, those torches are looking really nice too. But I'll let those grow out a little more too. But same thing. I like playing with these coral and feeding them, and trying different things. It's just sort of something newer for me. Some people start off with LPS as like their second type of coral, and it's really easy for them. But I had them for a little while, but I kind of jumped into SPS, after about a year or two. And, I really got into SPS, and Zoas are my favorites. So I really kind of bypassed LPS, but, I'm starting to get into them. I'm starting to like them. So we'll see what happens with that. And this is the 50-gallon LPS frag tank. All right, just turned off the flow on this frag tank. This toadstool is getting huge. It's bigger than my hand now. So I don't know. I guess I can frag it up tomorrow. I don't know when I was going to do it, but I might do it tomorrow. I got to do some other work on my truck tomorrow, so I don't know if I'm going to have time to do any reefing tomorrow. I did most of it today. Here is some more of, I believe this is Neptia. I'm not sure if it's Sinularia or Neptia, but I believe it's Neptia. I sold some big old chunks, big old colonies at the swap, and as you can see, I still have a whole bunch. So this is a really good growing coral, and it's it's cool. It's just it's a weird looking coral. It's not one that you see all the time. I mean, it used to be super common, I think, but hopefully I can share it with more people, and at least in my area, folks can enjoy it again. I got a cool little thing. Let me give a shout out to Magical Reef. He makes frag plugs, all different shapes and sizes, and he made these little skulls. They're flat on the back, but I'm going to try GSP on that skull and see what that looks like. And I also have some other coral in mine too, like Cephastria. So give Magical Reef a try. They're on Facebook. You can find them there. Get in touch with them, and they have really good prices on frag plugs and tiles and all kind of stuff like that, the ceramics. So that's a really good, cheap place to get them. He does some of the local swaps here, and he also does some of the regional ones. I think he does Reefapalooza and Orlando and things like that. So you may have heard of him. I just made my Sunkissed Bounces mad. I tried to get this one off the rack today. I was trying to cut the foot off of the rack anyway. I was trying to scrape it off, and I ended up doing some damage. So I just decided to abandon ship on that, and I'll just cut the frag rack. I'll let the coral heal up, and I'll just sacrifice that little bit of the frag rack. I didn't want to do that, but I'd rather do that than kill the coral, so I'll let that heal up. Same thing with this one over here. It was semi-attached to the frag rack, but it was a lot easier to get off, so I put it there, and I'll let that heal up. The other Zoas in this tank are doing pretty good now. Like I said, I did have an issue. There's one that probably won't make it there, but the rest of them in here anyway are doing okay. Some of them have really opened back up, like this one here. So that's good news for me to see, because it was pretty much at least half of them in the tank were all looking pretty sad, like this over here, where they were just basically turning inside out and just melting away. So at least I have a lot of them now that are coming back. So I'm real happy about that. And then we'll just get back on track. It happens in reefing. It happens to everybody. So I'll get through it and I'll move on. But I'm happy with that. And there's some Paleothoa. They never had a problem because those nudibranchs don't eat Paleothoa, because these have paleotoxin in them. So those are the ones you want to be careful with, as far as, you don't want to eat them, you don't want to boil them, you don't want to tear them up. Those are the ones. So those are the ones to watch out for. And I really respect those when I frag them. It looks like I do have to frag a few of them. But the rest of these, they're doing pretty good. Got a little toadstool right there. That's supposed to be a Fiji yellow, but it's green under blue lights, of course. There's Nemo. He's a butthead. Let's see if I can get him to bite my finger. He likes to bite fingers. He's thinking about it. Yeah, not today because you're on camera, right? You don't want no evidence, whatever. It's also a little blurry, but I also put this bird's nest in here that I had in the SBS frag tank. Look at that. This tank is like 40 nitrate, and this bird's nest doesn't care. I mean, it turned a lot green because it has some pink to it, but it's real green now. But that's to be expected because this tank has a lot less lighting. But I just couldn't believe it. I put it in here. I'm like, yeah, it'll probably be okay. I didn't have nowhere to put it, and it's doing fine. So there again, I got to find something to do with it. I don't want to throw it out like the Bacillopora issue. So hopefully somebody will want it in my area, LFS or something. I don't ship corals, so it's not that easy for me to do. Plus, it's not that desirable of a coral either. But yeah, this tank is slowly recovering. And I do have some major big old coral going on here, as you can see. So it's not all bad, and things are really looking up. So that is the 50-gallon softy frag tank. I'm Reefer Matt. Thank you for watching, and happy reefing.